Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Just give us a minute or two. Let's wait for our other friends and your colleagues, etc., to join. Today is going to be an exciting session. We're going to have a lot of case studies, practical demonstrations, and a lot of money that can be saved for you and your company. For just those of you who joined, we're going to start in the next 2 minutes. We're waiting for some more friends of yours to join, your fellow cybersecurity professionals. We're going to have an exciting session. It's all going to be filled with case studies, calculations on how we can save money for you, and so on. Stay on till the end. There is a lot of practical insights that can be gained from a combined experience on cloud that is about 20 odd years. Shiju and Yanish have worked across GCC projects on cloud security. They've taken care of pharma companies, conglomerates, banks, insurance companies, and so on. You're going to have an exciting session. Stay on till the end. And this event is also live on LinkedIn and a few other social media platforms. We've got a great number of registrations for the webinar. So we're going to have a great session today. That's our promise. We also want to make two promises to you. One is we will leave no question unanswered. The second promise we will make is that we will make it as interactive and as engaging as possible. So please ping in your questions, ask us doubts, challenge our beliefs, and so on. So we will have a great session. There is live demos and case studies as well. In a minute, we will roll. Hello, my name is Mukund, and I head marketing for Ahlan and Paramount. Today, let me just give you a little background. We wanted to do a webinar that is a very practical session. We wanted to do a webinar that is going to be all about cloud, the practical nuances of it, how you can save money, and so on. It's filled with case studies and it is filled with a demonstration as well. And we have two cloud experts, Shiju and Yanish, with us today. Welcome, guys. Let's go on to the next slide. This webinar actually is a part of what we call as the Cybersecurity Olympics. And we've got about 9 webinar topics, all of them trending topics for the cybersecurity professional. Just visit our website and you will get to know more. Let's roll on to the next slide. Great. We have two cloud experts. Shiju just released a viral video on the myths of cloud and cloud security. He's our principal architect and he has executed cloud projects across the Middle East. He loves exploring new places. He does spend a lot of time on pottery and poetry. And Yanish works as a security consultant on our cloud services. He has designed and optimized many cloud environments. And he loves traveling, reading, and listening to music and webinars related to cloud. So guys, take over. Let's have a blast.
Thank you, Mukund. Hello, everyone. Warm welcome to this webinar. So I'm excited to be part of this. And thanks everyone who could join us today. So without further delay, I think let's look at the agenda, which is all about, we will look at first, what are the increasing spends in cybersecurity today and the contest between cybersecurity needs and the budget constraints. And also we will look at the cases for better utilization of built-in cybersecurity tools that you have today as part of your cloud. Then we will look at some of the examples with the demonstration of better utilization of that. And the fourth, we will see the strategies and practical tips in achieving the same use cases in your organization. Then we will have some few case studies to describe how we have deployed that. Then we will move into the question and answer sessions. So let's move to the next one. So let us look at how Middle East is planned to spend for cybersecurity in 2024 and also next 3 years. If you see the study conducted by IDC recently, the cybersecurity spend for Middle East and Africa is around $6.2 billion, and it is going to grow to 8.4 in next 3 years. So while this is happening, one of the major things which is also happening in the world is about the adoption of cloud, digitization, and also moving out of the legacy on-premises infrastructure. At the same time, cybersecurity needs are increasing. There is also a budget constraints. Let us look at that detail in the next slide, which is all about the cybersecurity demand, the battle between the demand versus the budget constraints. So if you see the first one, which is the increased footprint of hybrid and multi-cloud environments, with more and more organization adopting cloud infrastructure. So you can see, as per the Gartner, by 2025, over 85% of enterprises would have adopted a cloud-first strategy. And the second one, from a need perspective, is all about increased attacks. As you know, this is very common nowadays. Then the third one is the business continuity and quick recovery. Organizations need the ability to respond quickly to cyber incidents to minimize downtime and financial losses. So a recent report showed that 93% of organizations that suffer a data breach are at risk of facing a significant financial or reputational impact if not prepared for enough recovery. So on the right side, what we are seeing, the budget constraints that organizations face today. So if you see limited budgets leaving security gaps, though many organizations allocate only 10% of their IT budget for cybersecurity, this leaves a critical vulnerabilities not addressed actually. And then the second one is the cloud expansion, which outpaces the security spending. If you see, by 2027, global public cloud spending is projected to be $219 billion. But cybersecurity is only a fraction of that. So advanced solutions are also costly. If you look at that is one of the budget constraints which comes into the picture. If you look at AI-driven zero trust solutions are often more expensive. Then the compliance initiatives and which are often underfunded for the organizations, which are required by regulatory compliance like GDPR, HIPAA, and many such regulatory requirements. Then the cybersecurity budgets, which is always reactive. If you look at any of the study shows that 60% of the companies increase their security budgets only after a breach, which is often too late. So redundant investment in multiple tools driven by fear, uncertainty, or doubt. So there is also always a gap between CIO and CISO, because CISO expects the cybersecurity to be in place for all areas. So now we will look at that in details. Over to you, Yanish.
Thank you, Shiju. Awesome. So we'll get started by understanding why do we need to have a discussion about this altogether. So let's try to have an understanding of how we can best utilize it, both technically and financially. So we all are techies here, right? So we would want to, of course, know how we can save money, but we would want to know what are we bringing in and how are we bringing in to protect my organization. So as an organization, as a cybersecurity individual, I believe you might have heard about zero trust. As an organization, your end goal should be to be able to achieve zero trust as a model. We'll be talking about it in the next slide as well. Okay, so we as an organization have created a framework where we try to bring in any kind of security solution in these 7 pillars that we have here. We have strategy and governance, posture and compliance management, network and infrastructure security, data security, identity security, application security, and it is followed by security monitoring and response. Take it any solution that you might have, maybe a PAM, maybe a DLP, maybe an EDR, whatever that you can think of, all of these can be put up under this specific 7 pillars. So that is the first exercise that we need to do. We need to identify what do we need as an organization, put it up in 7 pillars, and then identify that, okay, this pillar from, let's say, a governance perspective is something that I'm lacking around. Maybe I'm doing good in application security, then you would be able to build a standardized baseline for security for your organization. I was mentioning about zero trust. So we have a zero trust model coming up for you. So on the right, for your reference, what we have done, we have mapped a vendor specific solution to help you understand what kind and how can you do the mapping irrespective of what vendor or what kind of solutions do you use in your organization. Okay. So when we talk about zero trust as a solution, it is now being the most abused word that we can say, because everywhere you see it's a zero trust solution. Does this solution provide me security? Yes, it is a zero trust, standardized, and it provides so on and so forth. There's no end of the zero trust word being used. So what is zero trust altogether? That is something we need to understand, and this is the architecture which zero trust follows. We need to make sure the resources that I'm using, it could be my username, it could be my devices, it could be anything that I use to access content in my organization. That's the first thing. Primary, it is identities. Identities could be human, non-human, or non-human. When I say, I usually talk about workload identities, service principles, which comes into play. We need to protect that at all possible scenarios. There are multiple other things that we also need to incorporate, maybe making sure governance is in place, and so on and so forth. Then what devices or what machine do I use to access the content? It could be a personal device, it could be a BYOD device, it could be a corporate provider device. As an organization, as a security team for an organization, I would need to be able to have an understanding which device is being used to access my corporate data. I manage it. How do I manage it? What measures do I take by managing it? And the levels of security measures that I take on those devices is something which you would need to incorporate, maybe by solutions like an MDM and mobile application management, along with solutions like an antivirus or a EDR solution to protect those devices as well. Okay, we have the resources handy which we need to access. What are we protecting? We are trying to protect the 3 main pillars of my organization. First of all, which is data. Data could be anything. It could be your emails, your team chats, your conversations, your collaboration environment. It could be anything. It could be in your databases as well. So all kind of data that I have needs to be protected. A very basic measure of protecting data starts with identifying and pushing required protection on them by maybe, let's say, a solution like data classification or rights management is something that we need to incorporate. Then comes in our infrastructure and application requirement. Okay, so you have your device, you have your data. Without applications, it's of no use. So you need applications. It could be web-based applications, your line of business applications, your third-party SaaS applications. You need all of those to be able to make the best use of, or to be able to be the most productive as possible. So you'll need solutions like maybe, let's say, a repository to host and securely manage it, or a CASB solution to be able to protect it in a very, very seamless manner. And of course, then we have our infrastructure solutions. Infrastructure is something which is very, very endless. You can have n number of infrastructure as service products, your VMs, your containers, your serverless, your app control or app machine based solutions. You have your machines that could be hosted on premises, on third party clouds, on Azure, GCP, whatever it is. You would need to be able to, first of all, manage permissions on them. You would need to be able to have a posture management continuously running on that. So all of these is to be taken care of when we are looking at zero trust as a model. And in the center, you see something known as zero trust policies. We need to continuously evaluate and enforce security policies to be able to have protection across. We'll be talking about the solutions in a little more detail in the upcoming slides. Okay, so that was about zero trust. Okay, when we talk about organizations, what kind of licensing do they have? I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, when we talk about organizations, they usually have multiple types of licensing. They can either have a E3. Just pardon me for a second, please.
No worry, we'll just have a polling question when you clear your throat. Just get a polling question up. Can you get a polling question up, please?
We'd love to have answers from you to just get an understanding what is your current scenario and how we can, as an organization, help you out.
Carry on, Yanish.
Awesome. Okay, so when we talk about as an organization, we usually might have, let's say, an E3 plan, a Microsoft 365 Enterprise E3 plan, or an E5 plan, or maybe a business plan. And along with it, if you have cloud workloads, it could be primarily hosted in either of the three top vendors, AWS, Azure, GCP, or it could be solutions like Alibaba, it could be, let's say, Oracle and whatnot. So we'll take Microsoft 365 E5 as a reference that, okay, if you have E5 and you're investing on other solutions, what is there in E5 which you can make the best use of to make sure you are, first of all, reducing investment and also meeting your security goals altogether. So when we talk about it, the first and the foremost pillar that we need to look into is identity. Gone are those days when we talk about, okay, network protection, VPNs and whatnot. Identity is the security pillar that you need to look into and protect at all points of time. So with Microsoft 365 E5 or an E3 plan altogether, you could get multiple capabilities which are provided by various vendors in one single plan, and you would be able to utilize it. You'll be able to make the best use of your investment. Solutions like MFA, a very simple, a very small configuration, but the value that it adds, it's absolutely unimaginable. Single sign-on. Just imagine, getting up to work on a Monday morning and you have to sign into 10 different applications. A big hassle, bigger than the 8-hour work that you do. So single sign-on, which increases productivity, security. A self-service password reset. Of course, as the name suggests, we'll be easily able to reset our passwords. Secure publishing of our applications to cloud, which might be hosted as a line of business application on premises. We would be able to enforce conditional access policies, which make sure that we are able to define scenarios, we are able to define attributes to be able to be taken into consideration before we give access to an individual or a device altogether. User management throughout the life cycle as part of identity governance. Risk-based access control is something that we can get as part of identity security. Access reviews on a continuous manner can be provisioned. And of course, privileged identity management, where we manage access to different resources, where we manage access to different identities, or where we manage access to different roles, is something that you can get with Microsoft 365 E5. When we talk about data, we've had a very good discussion in the zero trust module that data is something that we need to protect. So what can you look into as part of your E3 or E5 licensing that you might have? You can look into data classification, which is offered by Microsoft Information Protection, another market leader. You can look into solutions like information rights management, data loss prevention, in various other modes of data loss prevention. For example, protecting your collaboration environment, protecting your emails, Teams, any other conversations going on, protecting your endpoints. That is a very, very big component that you need to look into. And of course, protecting your network resources as well. You can have insider risk management enforced to make sure that in case there are any anomalies happening in your environment, maybe something is trying to do a lot of fishy activities, you can get detected and investigated. And then finally, we have compliance manager, which is like the foremost solution for giving you an assessment and giving you the recommendations of how you can fix those problems is something that you can get. Now, from a endpoints and a mobile perspective, you get a lot of different capabilities as well. You can get solutions like mobile device management. You can get one single portal where you can do management of devices, setting up security baselines, hardening of it, and also being able to maybe push applications and do various sets of activities. You'll also get mobile application management where you are able to control personal devices, not on a device level, but on an application level, is something which is very, very helpful. And of course, device and disk encryption. Uh, you can look into any standard out in the market. It could be ISO 27001, it could be regulations that are there for companies, for various industries. Encryption is something which is required in all of them. So you'll be able to use something like a BitLocker to be able to enforce and encrypt your devices on a admin level rather than an individual level is something that you can achieve. And when we talk about a threat protection set of capabilities, the offerings that we get with this are endless. You can have EDR as a full-fledged solution to be able to detect any behavioral-based attacks apart from the intelligence-based attacks that we're doing. You'll be able to get anti-malware, anti-spyware, continuous vulnerability management, email security from phishing emails, spam, all kinds of malware that might come in. You'll be able to get with a sandboxing protection. Security awareness, humans being the biggest problem in security, we need to make sure we are making awareness programs for those individuals. Identity threat protection in case you have on-prem workloads with domain controllers and whatnot. And then you have multiple security posture management solutions and CASB to be able to protect, of course, your infrastructure and your cloud applications altogether. So these are solutions. A big chunk of the solutions are already there in your licensing, which you can go ahead, pick it up right now and implement it without any single penny of investment. So this is something which, of course, you as technology would like it. Okay. Uh, we have Bokan with a question. Please go ahead.
Man, okay, this is a tough question. I didn't know how to answer this, but can we enforce GPO policy templates available on Prem Active Directory service using Azure Active Directory and MS Intune? This is a question from Anupam.
Absolutely, absolutely. A really great question. A really great question. So Intune, when we talk about Intune device configuration policies, it can pretty much do almost everything a group policy can do. Most of them are built in offered to US templates. You can directly go ahead, do a couple of clicks, go ahead and deploy the solution or the policy. And in case you would want to bring in additional ADMX files, you can do that as well.
Hey, hold on. Before you go ahead, Anup, you have any other thing to say or ask as a secondary question? Anupam, I'm happy to get you on voice if you would want to. All right, let's move on. We are getting some audience poll responses. Let's go on.
Awesome. Thank you for your question.
Anupam is okay with the answer. He says yes. Let's move on.
Pleasure. Awesome. So this was from a Microsoft 365 perspective altogether. Now, when we say workloads, majority of our cloud workloads could be in form of Azure solutions, it could be in form of GCP solutions, it could be in form of AWS and other cloud vendors which are providing IaaS and PaaS services altogether. It could be identity and access management, as we discussed. Azure AD is, or Entra ID as we now know it, is one of the primary solutions. Controls such as network microsegmentation, very, very helpful, very, very critical. And it does not charge you altogether to create network security groups or application security groups to be able to do that in your Azure environment. You can go ahead and do a very minute or a granular application segmentation as well. In case you have keys or secrets or certificates that you would want to store, you can store that in your key vault subscriptions as well. So this is something which is offered, and a good chunk of its offerings are free to use. So this is something that we can look into from a cloud security perspective as well. Things such as policy management and other governance controls is something that we'll look into in the next slide. Okay, so role-based access controls, very, very important, very, very critical. It does not even charge you a penny to go ahead and create roles and assign it to individual users to make sure they have only the access to the resources and a level of access which they need to do their work. You can define that. You can use something known as Azure Advisor, which is a really, really helpful solution. I can't stress more on it, that it's a free to use solution. You can go ahead, have a look, all in terms of cost, your reliability, your security. It will give you all the recommendations that you can directly pick up and implement in your environment. We'll have a quick look at that as well. There are multiple Azure policy options that you can incorporate. There are multiple options of ARM templates that you can incorporate, maybe by using, let's say, a solution like Azure DevOps or a Kubernetes engine that you would want to incorporate is something which is absolutely free from an ARM templates perspective. Or in case you have, let's say, solutions like Terraform, or if you have Kubernetes hosted on premises, you can use those activities from Azure, which are absolutely free to you. The management through shell, the Azure shell, is absolutely free to use again. So all of these are capabilities which is right there built in your environment, which you're already paying for, which you can utilize without any additional investments. So these are some features that we have. I'd like to quickly switch to my web portal, where I would want to show you a couple of options which you can get started right now after the webinar altogether to see how you're performing in terms of your Azure workloads and in terms of, let's say, Microsoft 365 workloads as well. Yes, please, Puka.
All right, we have a question which says, how can we secure threats for servers in Azure or any other cloud?
Absolutely. Okay. So when we say threats on servers, it has two layers of threat protections. First is from an EDR perspective, then is something we call a workload protection altogether. So you can protect things such as malware detections, so on and so forth, which usually EDR does. And on top of it, you'll be able to achieve things such as, let's say, your adaptive application access, or let's say a file integrity monitoring, which is very, very helpful and important for servers, is something that you can achieve using something called as Defender for Servers, which is part of the bigger Defender for Cloud umbrella. I hope that
Awesome.
answers your question.
Let's go in for the demo, that one you were very excited to show all of us.
Awesome. Let me just switch to that portal. And okay, I believe all of you might be able to see my Azure portal window. So this is what you'll reach at when you try to log into your Azure portal. You can directly search for Azure Advisor. Keep in mind, you don't have to worry about the charges or the cost that it might incur. It's absolutely free to use. So as soon as I open my Azure Advisor window, it will give me all kinds of possible recommendations that I would need. Okay, cost, I'm doing pretty good. I'm achieving 86% of the score, but there are about one high impact and two medium impact recommendations that I can look into. If I would want, I can directly open it. I'll try to show you a quick glimpse of that as well. From security, I'm performing kind of bad here. I have a lot of recommendations, 25 high impact, 20 medium, and 23 low impact, and about 1100 resources are being impacted here. So I can totally go ahead, quickly open it up, and it will give me a list of protection controls that I need to incorporate. Accounts with right permission should be disabled, machines should have secret findings resolved, guest account with owner permissions, and so on and so forth. And the good thing is, if you open any of these recommendations, you can see the details of the subscriptions which it might be impacting on, and you would be able to get the details of how you can go ahead and fix this problem as well. So this is something which is very, very big value addition for organization. In terms of cost as well, if I show it to you quickly, you can see there are three recommendations that I have. Right size or shutdown underutilized virtual machines. This is something which is a very, very quick fix. what is the value that it might be giving out to me? About $1,600. That's a huge set of money that I'm spending. In case you have bigger environments, the amount of savings that you can do is something that we cannot even imagine right now. You have disks that are not attached to a VM. You can go ahead and delete. I can see there are 10 disks which are impacted by this. So this is something which you can utilize right away to get recommendations and input from an advisory perspective to be able to incorporate this in the environment. There's something which is very helpful from a Microsoft 365 perspective is something we call secure scope. This is the place that I come in whenever I get into a conversation with a customer that, okay, where is the customer standing right now in terms of its security controls? It will give me an idea, of course, in a percentage manner so that both the techies and the management can understand what to be read from it. It will give me a reference as well that, okay, for organizations of similar size, they are doing at 43.11, whereas I'm doing 11% better, which is very good. It will also give you comparison in terms of industries as well, that what industry that you're working in and what is the standard for that industry, so that you are able to keep on par with those controls as well. This secure score will give me right away recommendations, what needs to be done in terms of priority, in terms of importance, and in terms of impact. So you can see that I have a control turn on Defender antivirus real-time protection. It would give me 10 points altogether and it has a 0.73% impact in my organization if I go ahead and incorporate it. And it will give me a list of recommendations as well. If I want, I can export it as CSV as well. And then you can track what's going on as part of your environment. So this is a very quick demo of what you can go ahead and do today itself to be able to have and achieve a starting point for your, first of all, reduction of your investments. Because to meet the same set of requirements, you might be bringing in a third-party solution. Uh, to, to meet a similar set of control, you might be having controls done which might be costing you money. So you can have that exercise started right now itself. Please feel free to put in your questions, queries, doubts at any point of time in the chat window.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just give me a second. There's an audience
Sure.
poll. I think this is a very interesting question, right? Shiju, most of your customers keep talking about it. The worry of moving out from a legacy security solution and adapting a cloud. I mean, the poll is open. Just curious to know the answers that emerge from the poll. Go ahead and just participate in this poll, guys. Wow. Okay. Lack of skills is leading the race now. A lot of people are saying that they're not sure on the way to proceed. And I think the fourth point is pretty important, Shiju. This was your viral video. Belief that the cloud providers are not strong on security. Probably we should address this if we have time later on in the session. But you want to do a quick comment on this?
No, I think this is a point most of the customers when we talk about when we discuss with them, there are some uncertainties they have in terms of whether these can achieve their use cases. So there are some perceptions as well. So we can definitely address all of this if we can have a meeting or discussions with you on this. Mukund, how many responses on this? We have good.
Yeah, like I said, right, most of the people say that they do not have the skills to adopt, sorry. And they are worried that the solution probably would not meet their requirements.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Sorry, you wanted to say something, please.
No, this is an area that we can actually help, because when you feel that the solution is not meeting the requirements, we can definitely look at, because there are ways multiple, because the approach is always different when it comes to the cloud solutions we have. People often tend to compare with the on-premises or the other solutions, the way it actually behaves. We only need to compare with the use cases, whether that is achieving your cybersecurity use cases and defensive controls. Yeah. Go ahead, Yanish. Sorry.
All right.
Awesome. That thank you for your responses. We've discussed in terms of solutions and whatnot. Let me give you the financial detail altogether. I've been saying that you can save so much, but how much is the answer? So here we have different category averages altogether for different solutions. Maybe let's say an IAM solution. You can choose, I don't want to name any vendors, but you can choose uh, any possible third-party vendor, and we have chosen a category average of what it might cost for about 4,000 users. From email security perspective, from data classification and rights management perspective, from data loss prevention perspective, from EDR, uh, and also cloud app security broker solutions and an MDM solution as well. So if we just try to do a rough estimation of how much all of it might cost if I just get the package at the category average altogether, not even towards the high point, it would cost me something around $3.3 million for a year for a 4,000 user organization. Whereas the license that you're already paying for it, well, let's say a Microsoft E5, which you already have procured, which you needed for your day-to-day activities, includes all of the services, and you might have already paid about 1.5 million, 1.8 million for it, but you don't need to bring in additional investment. Even if you just do an apple to apple comparison, you can still see about a 45% difference in terms of money. So this is something which is very, very big in terms of value addition for an organization, because we as cybersecurity folks understand that the last bits of the budget usually comes to us. So we would have to be very smart, very proactive in terms of understanding what my use cases are and can I achieve it with what I already have. Awesome. So I hope this adds a lot of value to you. Now, how do I start this exercise altogether? I'll take a couple of minutes to help you understand the flow that you should go ahead and check for. First of all, what is the amount that you're currently spending? Maybe let's say $1 million, whatever it is. What are the next action items, or what are the next set of goals that you would need to meet as part of your security requirements? Then have an inventory of solutions altogether, you both in terms of IT and security, and see if there are any redundant or inefficient solution which might not be adding value to your organization. Check out what set of licensing, what set of product models that you have, which would offer a similar capability that you were planning to get as part of your environment. And then you can estimate a cost savings and a risk reduction altogether. Because as you mentioned earlier as well, that usually cloud vendors are not considered to be on the levels of a dedicated security vendor, but a lot of those products are Gartner leaders. So you can have that understanding, you can do an apple to apple comparison, that is it this solution which is meeting all my requirements or not, or would I need a different solution? You can then, based on it, take a decision of your own. So you can have this flow defined for you to be able to adopt, first of all, controls from what you already have, and then controls which your vendors might provide it to you. Yes, Mukul.
No, I think Shiju has had a few very interesting conversations with customers on that. And Shiju, what are the reasons that many customers don't think of cloud providers as good on security? And typically, what are your answers, and why is that fear misplaced?
So typically, what happens is in the industry, if you see, there is a perception that if you look at the cybersecurity professionals from the traditional space, the cloud or the platform vendors was never a cybersecurity provider from the time they grown as a cybersecurity or from their initial time itself. So if you look at large cloud providers like Microsoft, now from the last 5-6 years, look at the cybersecurity solutions that they have brought in with the millions of billions of investments. There is a lot of enhancements that has happened, but the perception in some places has not changed. That's the reality. Though the use cases are met from a cybersecurity perspective. This is some of the things which we are getting it from the ground.
Fantastic. Yes, sir. Please move on.
Awesome. Thanks, Shiju, for your insight. So, what are the top security and cloud native solutions that you can first of all start with? You can start with things such as backup and disaster recovery. You might not need a third party backup solution to do the same activity for you. You can adopt a built in monitoring and threat protection services. For example, let's say Azure Monitor is something that you can utilize right away. Utilize data encryption mechanism. For example, if you buy IS services or if you have endpoints, you can incorporate something such as BitLocker to be able to do that for you. Enable identity and access management. Entra ID, irrespective of the license that you buy, comes in with it. So you can utilize it to be able to have your IAM goals met. You can automate security policies based on different products. And of course, in case you're working with Azure, you can use Azure policies and similar solutions on GCP and Azure AWS as well. And of course, you can use compliance audit tools. One of them, which I mentioned, you can use Azure Advisor. You can use Compliance Manager. In Microsoft, you can have a similar solutions brought in terms of GCP, which does compliance monitoring for you from a solution perspective altogether. So this is where you can start by adopting your current requirements and making and meeting them by cloud native solutions altogether. Then we have the case studies. I'd like to hand it over to Shiju again to help us understand a couple of case studies that we have done for customers.
Thank you, Anish. Thank you so much. So,
All right. 1 second. There's a poll. If you can quickly answer this, we'll spend a second on this. What's your biggest concern on cloud assets and data? Security, monitoring, cost. Come on, let's hear it. Wow. I think you should be happy with this topic that you've chosen, Shiju. 50%, 44% of the people feel that they're concerned on the cost of adding security. That's pretty interesting to note.
great. That means
Awesome.
there's a little swap for built-in cloud security. Great. So let's move on to the case studies. So we have a lot of case studies. So we chose 2 case studies to brief you all. So the first case study, this is for a large retail firm with over 16,000 users. The challenge here was that data security for the organization. While the basic controls were in place, there was no visibility and control for data. There is also lack of awareness across the organization. And we engaged in the assessment and we understood their environment and we did a data protection consulting exercise, including with business departments. And customer was actually preparing for a DLP solution procurement based on all of this, and which required a huge CapEx investment. So we identified the DLP and the entire data protection use cases they can achieve using their existing Microsoft 365 licenses. And we went ahead and
My God, Shiju has
communication
frozen.
materials. And we have given the emailers, awareness materials to the entire organizations. And we did as a proper change management exercise. customer could achieve almost 80% of their DLP use cases and also eliminated 90% from a CapEx perspective, which they were about to invest. So that's the case study number one. Let's move on to the case study number two.
Shiju, can I just put another poll question now before you move on to
Yeah.
the next case study?
Yeah.
All right, this is, I mean, like typically what we do is that we assess the cloud services that, I mean, assess the cloud infrastructure of our clients, and we give them tips to save money. Just like the calculation that you saw there, where we nearly did a 40% saving on your cost, we can do that for you. We will give you an assessment test, and then Shiju and Yanish have done that for many clients. So let us know if you need an assessment by our cloud expert. Shiju, as far as the last quarter goes, your count was about 15, right? 15 assessments is what you did, or was the number a little higher?
No, yeah, it's in the range of 15 to 20. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we'll wait for another minute to see if there are any more requests for an assessment. I mean, obviously, this would not cost you anything, and we would be happy to do this for you. Right, let's move on. We've got another 15
Great.
minutes. There are a lot of
So-
interesting topics.
Yeah. So the second case study is for a transformation, and it's a transportation and a government organization in Middle East. They recently moved to with a hybrid cloud approach, adopting the email and collaboration from cloud. They were much concerned on achieving the zero trust policies for their cloud applications after their internal audit. So we engaged and understood each of their internal risk documented by the team and provided a mitigation plan. And we identified the Microsoft 365 security platforms use cases which they can use it from their existing licenses. And we liberated the components like Entra ID, conditional access, identity protection, CASB policies, and Intune device and application management policies, all for achieving the zero trust principles for accessing their business applications. And we also did their data at rest encryption, because one of the risks that they have is data at rest encryption required for their cloud data, which was done using their own key with a BYOK concept. The overall impact of attack surface reduced significantly by 90% by doing this. And that's the second case study. These are the two case studies that we thought we will discuss with you. We can go to the next slide.
Just to add on to in the case studies that were mentioned here, where we've had engagement with customers who are, let's say, paying, tens of thousands of dollars on a cloud SIM on Azure workloads, which they don't really have an idea on. After our assessments and our assistance altogether, they were able to bring their consumption, their pricing by 30, 40, 50, even 60% altogether. Yes, Mukul, please.
Okay. I mean, Zoom says it's an anonymous attendee, but the question is this: I'm joining from West Africa, and one of the biggest challenges SMEs have is access to big budgets, especially the small and the startup companies. Are there programs that we can leverage on to benefit from these MSFT offerings?
Definitely. There is. So I think it's better to connect with you separately. We can help you. There are so much of from Microsoft licensing perspective which you can achieve. I understand the question is around that only. Maybe Yanish, you want to add anything?
Yeah, we've covered pretty much it. Yes, so we can help you understand and adopt a optimized licensing structure and a workload structure, which would of course meet your requirements, and then would give you security capabilities as well.
So yeah, I mean, I think if you, I mean, this is a lengthier answer, I guess. So if you can give us your contact ID, we would probably, email you or just talk to you for about 15, 20 minutes, and then resolve your queries. Any other questions, people? So, Shiju, out of how much time did it take for the savings to kick in from both of these projects?
When you're talking about the deployment time.
Yeah, in the sense
So-
that the amount of savings that you talked about, right? 80% capex reduction. What were the initial steps and how long did it take for the ROI to kick in?
So it typically takes for larger organization, it takes anything between 6 months to 18 months in terms of rolling out all the use cases and then going into the production. And also you need to ensure that the legacy solution is decommissioned and saving from the renewals, right? So this is a typical timeline. And in some cases where we had proactively done a study, and then before the renewal itself, we were able to migrate to their cloud native solution, and then they can eliminate the renewals. So it's a
Okay.
typical 6 months to 18 months time frame.
Great. So now the other question, this is a question by Mr. Yadav. In a nutshell, which is a better option to have? On-prem Active Directory or Azure Entra with Intune license for identity access management?
It is the question also requires to understand the environment, so it's always good to go with the completely cloud approach. That is the Entra ID and the Intune management approach, where you will be completely flexible from the world, wherever you can access, and the device can also be anywhere. But we also need to understand that if there are dependencies with your on-premises Active Directory, so it has to go with a hybrid Entra ID joint concept, and then slowly you have to move into the complete Entra ID joint and Intune management approach. You may still have some on-premises legacy applications dependency with the Active Directory, so that needs to be considered separately, and you need to move into a domain services services from the Azure cloud for such requirements if you are completely decommissioning the Active Directory.
Let's wait for a second for Anupam to react to the answer. Is he having anything else? Guys, we have a lot of time for Q&A. We kept a bit of time so that we can answer any question or any query that you may have. Anupam is okay and he's happy with the answer.
Well, Anupam, actually, we also did a similar exercise for a customer moving completely to Entra ID and Intune management approach. So yes, definitely for all their endpoints. Okay, that's possible to start with initially.
All right. Okay, that clears the doubt. We are getting to start. Oh yeah, all right. Thanks, Anupam, for the clarification.
Yeah, so on the IAM also, as you know, Entra ID, well, you have so many use cases which is part of your Entra ID in the E5 stack itself, including the identity governance. But on the governance, if you want to add on like complete automated lifecycle management, there is an Entra governance add-on or an Entra suite add-on which can take care of the complete use cases from an identity governance perspective, doing the joiners, movers, and levers, JML concept. So that's a topic. If that's a topic in itself, we can have a separate session for you, because from an IAM perspective, it can cover the entire landscape, entire use cases through the Entra itself.
Just move. So I mean, like we got some kind of feedback and conversations, and we'll be happy to do a cloud assessment test for you, and it's at no obligation. I mean, I'm just going to open that poll on the assessment test. Just guys, put up that fourth question again. We'll just check if anybody else want an assessment, and it's at no obligation, right? And it's pretty much a conversation that you will have with people. So just open that fourth poll again. Let's see if we can get some answers. Shiju, just move on to the next slide.
Great. Yeah. So Yanish, we can move on to the next slide, and then So we have an established cloud security practice with a bunch of highly experienced security consultants, and we can help you achieve your journey. If you look at, we have we always call it as uninterrupted BAU because the accountability and uninterrupted BAU is something which is required when you are working in a live environment, a production environment, right? So, and we also have our legacy with 30 plus years of Middle East market experience in cybersecurity space. And we have our offerings as our cloud compliance consulting and the cloud security, which is a deployment team, and the managed services practice from a cloud security perspective. These are three areas we have it. And we are a MISA member, which is basically a Microsoft Intelligent Security Association. And we are also managed XDR, managed and verified XDR partner. We have partner designation. We have 4 advanced specialization, including cloud security, information protection, identity access management, threat protection. So these are 4 advanced specialization we have.
All right, the poll one is open again. Shiju, just talk through it. I mean, these certifications don't come easy, right? I mean, we need to pass assessment test. Microsoft interviews our experts.
So-
Just talk about what is the process of this. Guys,
Yeah.
the poll question is open. Please go ahead and answer. We're happy to do an assessment test for you, and it's at no obligation.
Yeah. So the first step is actually the security partner as a designation. Then you get into the advanced specialization. All of this requires the number of certified engineers, specialists in your organization. So we have 60 plus certified consultants, and we have more than 120 plus certification only on cybersecurity on this space. For the MISA, which is the Microsoft Intelligent Security Association, there are so many other requirements in terms of meeting that. You need to be extremely specialized and having your own IP in cybersecurity solutions to reach that stage, and your own services which are tailored for the specific verticals in the market. So we have achieved that. I think it took almost 12 months to reach that stage, means from starting to the reaching to that MISA certification and verified XDR as a partner. So yeah, there are a lot of things involved, Mukund, for achieving this.
All right, fantastic. Guys, we are open for questions. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Please go ahead and ask them. I mean, we have another minute now for the webinar to attend, but for those who have something else to do or another call to jump into or a meeting to attend, thank you so much. We've absolutely enjoyed putting up these slides together, and it feels worthwhile because we got a great response here. The audience has been fantastic. Thank you for your questions. And you can talk to us and reach us out at paramountassure.com. We have free assessments. That's about it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys for joining in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.